The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and despair, the kind that clung to your skin like damp fog. Claire Hammond, 32, lay propped against starched pillows, her frail frame swallowed by the sterile white bed. Her chestnut hair, once vibrant, hung limp against her pale cheeks, and her hazel eyes flickered with a defiance that her body no longer matched. The heart monitor beeped, a steady, mocking rhythm. Outside, the Chicago skyline glittered through the window, a cruel reminder of the life she'd built and was now losing. Claire was a tech mogul, a self-made millionaire who'd clawed her way from a small-town Illinois diner to a penthouse suite. But none of that mattered when her heart was failing faster than her empire. She sighed, the sound heavy, like air escaping a punctured tire. The truth was brutal. She had months, maybe a year. The doctor's words echoed in her mind. Cardiomyopathy, transplant list, no guarantees. Her family, if you could call them that, was a distant pack of vultures circling for her fortune. Her mother, Evelyn, had already called twice that week, her voice dripping with fake concern, asking about the will. Claire's jaw clenched at the thought. She'd rather burn her money than let them touch it. Then there was the other problem, the one that gnawed at her in the quiet hours. Claire was a lesbian, always had been, but she'd buried it under ambition and fear. Her conservative family would have disowned her faster than they'd claim her wealth. Now, facing the end, she wanted one thing: to live authentically, even if just for a moment. But who would love a dying woman? Who would stay? Enter Lily Carter, 28, the nurse who'd been assigned to Claire's case for the past month. Lily was everything Claire wasn't: warm, grounded, alive. Her auburn hair was always pulled into a messy bun, strands escaping like they had a mind of their own. Her green eyes sparkled with a kindness that made Claire's chest ache in ways unrelated to her condition. Lily moved through the room like a soft breeze, her sneakers squeaking faintly on the linoleum floor, her voice a soothing hum as she checked IVs or adjusted monitors. "Morning, Claire," Lily said, her smile bright as she entered. "You look like you're plotting world domination again." Claire chuckled, a weak sound. "Maybe just a hostile takeover of this hospital bed." Lily laughed, the sound like wind chimes on a summer porch. She leaned closer, adjusting Claire's pillow, her fingers brushing Claire's shoulder. The touch lingered a beat too long, sending a jolt through Claire's tired body. She swallowed hard, her mouth dry. This was the moment, the one she'd been rehearsing in her head for days. "Lily," Claire said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I need a favor. A big one." Lily's brow furrowed, but she nodded, sitting on the edge of the bed. "Name it." Claire's heart pounded, each beat a reminder of her ticking clock. "My family's coming next week. They're awful. They think I'm straight, single, and ready to hand over my fortune. I want to mess with them. Pretend to be my girlfriend. Just for a few days." Lily froze, her eyes widening. "Pretend to be your girlfriend?" "Yeah," Claire said, rushing on. "I'll pay you. Name your price. I need them to see me as someone who lived on her terms, not theirs. Please." The room fell silent, save for the heart monitor's relentless beep. Lily's gaze dropped to her hands, her fingers twisting the hem of her scrub top. Claire braced for rejection, her stomach churning. She'd overstepped, hadn't she? Made it weird. Ruined the one good thing in this sterile hell. But then Lily looked up, her lips curving into a small, mischievous smile. "Okay. But I'm not cheap, Hammond. And I'm not faking it halfway. If we're doing this, we're doing it right." Claire's breath caught, relief flooding her like warm sunlight. "Deal," she said, her voice cracking. "You're gonna regret this when you meet my mother." Lily laughed again, louder this time, and the sound filled the room, drowning out the beeps, the antiseptic, the fear. For the first time in months, Claire felt something like hope. Over the next few days they planned. Lily would come to Claire's penthouse after her shift, and they'd rehearse their relationship. Claire's family expected a show, and Claire was nothing if not a performer. But as they sat on her leather couch, the Chicago skyline sprawling beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows, something shifted. Lily wasn't just playing a role. She listened when Claire talked about her childhood, About the diner where she'd waitressed at 16. About the first app she'd coded in a cramped dorm room. Lily shared her own stories. Growing up in a small Ohio town, nursing school, the ex-girlfriend who'd broken her heart. You ever think about what you'd do if you weren't saving lives? Claire asked one night, sipping wine while Lily stuck to water. Lily shrugged, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Maybe open a bakery. I make a mean blueberry scone. You. Claire's smile faded. I used to want to travel. See the world. Now I just want more time. Lily reached over, squeezing Claire's hand. You've got time. And I'm here, okay? The touch was electric, real in a way Claire hadn't expected. She pulled her hand back, heart racing, and changed the subject. This was pretend. It had to be. But the lines blurred. Lily's laughter, her gentle teasing, the way she'd hum softly while cooking dinner in Claire's kitchen. It felt like home. Claire caught herself staring at Lily's profile, memorizing the curve of her jaw, the freckles dusting her nose. She was falling and it terrified her. What right did she have to love when her days were numbered? The day of the family visit loomed. Claire's mother, Evelyn, arrived with her brother Mark and his wife Susan, all sharp suits and sharper tongues. They swept into the penthouse like they owned it, their eyes scanning for weaknesses. Claire sat on the couch, Lily beside her, their hands clasped. The air was thick with tension, the faint scent of Evelyn's overpowering perfume mingling with the coffee Lily had brewed. Claire, darling, Evelyn said, her smile tight. You look well, considering. Thanks, Mom, Claire said, her tone dry. This is Lily. My girlfriend. Evelyn's smile faltered, her eyes narrowing. Mark coughed into his fist, and Susan's brows shot up. Lily, unfazed, leaned closer to Claire, her thumb brushing over Claire's knuckles. Nice to meet you all, Lily said, her voice warm but firm. Claire's told me so much about you. The lie was flawless, but Claire's chest tightened. This was supposed to be a game, a middle finger to her family's expectations. So why did Lily's touch feel so real? Why did it hurt to know it wasn't? As the evening wore on, the family's questions grew pointed. How long have you two been together? Mark asked, his tone skeptical. You never mentioned a girlfriend, Claire. We've kept it private, Lily said smoothly, her hand resting on Claire's knee. But I'm here for her through everything. Claire's throat closed. She wanted to believe it, wanted it to be true. But the heart monitor's echo lingered in her mind, a reminder that love was a luxury she couldn't afford. The penthouse air grew heavier as the evening dragged on. The clink of wine glasses and the low hum of jazz from Claire's speakers couldn't mask the tension. Evelyn's eyes, sharp as a hawk's, darted between Claire and Lily, searching for cracks in their story. Claire's hand stayed locked in Lily's, her pulse thumping against her skin, not from her illness but from the weight of the lie, and the truth it was starting to unearth. So Lily, Evelyn said, swirling her Chardonnay, her voice honeyed with venom. What do you do? Besides this? Her gaze flicked to their joined hands, lips pursing. Lily didn't flinch. I'm a nurse, she said, her tone steady, almost defiant. I take care of people. Like Claire. Claire's heart skipped, a jolt that made her wince. Lily's words were part of the act, but they cut deeper, stirring something raw. She squeezed Lily's hand, a silent thank you, and Lily's thumb brushed back, soft and sure. The gesture was small, but it felt like a lifeline in the room's suffocating air. Mark leaned forward, his tie loose, his smirk sharper than his suit. A nurse, huh? Convenient. Claire's always been good at picking useful friends. The jab landed and Claire's jaw tightened. She opened her mouth to fire back, but Lily beat her to it. Funny, Lily said, her smile sharp. Claire's told me how useful you've been, Mark. Remind me, when was the last time you called her just to talk? The room stilled. Susan's wine glass paused midair, and Evelyn's perfectly arched brow twitched. Claire bit her lip to hide a grin. Lily was good, too good. For a moment, Claire forgot this was a charade, forgot the heart monitor's beep that haunted her dreams. She felt alive, like the old Claire who'd built a tech empire from nothing. But the moment shattered when Evelyn set her glass down with a deliberate clink. "Claire," she said, her voice low, "we need to discuss your arrangements. Your health is delicate, and your estate." "Not tonight, Mom," Claire cut in, her voice steel. "Tonight's about family." "Right." Evelyn's smile was a razor. "Of course, darling." The rest of the evening crawled by. Each question from her family a veiled jab at Claire's choices, her life, her girlfriend. Lily played her part flawlessly, weaving stories of dates they'd never had. Picnics in Millennium Park, late-night drives along Lakeshore Drive. Claire marveled at her ease, the way she laughed at her own made-up stories, her hand never leaving Claire's. But every touch, every smile twisted the knife deeper. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. When her family finally left, the penthouse felt too quiet, the jazz too soft. Claire sank into the couch, her chest tight, her breath shallow. Lily sat beside her, kicking off her shoes and tucking her feet under her like she belonged there. The faint scent of her lavender shampoo lingered, grounding Claire in a way she hadn't felt in years. "You were amazing," Claire said, her voice hoarse. "I almost believed you myself." Lily grinned, but her eyes were soft, searching. "I told you I don't do things halfway. You okay?" Claire nodded, but the lie tasted bitter. She wasn't okay. She was falling for Lily, and every heartbeat reminded her she was running out of time. "You don't have to stay," she said, staring at the skyline. "You've done enough." Lily tilted her head, studying Claire like she was a puzzle. "What if I want to?" Claire's breath hitched. She turned, meeting Lily's gaze, and for a moment, the world narrowed to the space between them, the inches of couch, the warmth of Lily's hand, the unspoken question hanging in the air. Claire wanted to lean in to close that gap, but fear stopped her. What if Lily was just being kind? What if this was pity, not love? "I'm tired," Claire said instead, her voice barely a whisper. "You should go." Lily's face fell, but she nodded, grabbing her bag. "Call me if you need me, okay?" The door clicked shut, and Claire was alone again, the city lights mocking her from beyond the glass. She pressed a hand to her chest, feeling the unsteady rhythm of her heart. She'd wanted to shock her family, to live authentically for once. But now the act was unraveling her, exposing a truth she wasn't ready to face. She didn't just want Lily to pretend. She wanted Lily to stay. The next morning, Claire woke to the buzz of her phone. A text from Lily. "Coffee run? I'm buying." Claire smiled despite herself, the ache in her chest easing just a fraction. They met at a cafe near the hospital, the air thick with the scent of roasted beans and fresh pastries. Lily slid into the booth across from Claire, her scrubs wrinkled from a night shift, her smile brighter than the morning sun. "You look like you didn't sleep," Lily said, pushing a latte toward Claire. "Bad night." "Something like that," Claire muttered, wrapping her hands around the warm cup. The truth was she'd spent the night replaying every moment with Lily, every touch, every laugh. It was torture, wanting something she couldn't have. Lily leaned forward, her elbows on the table, her voice low. "Your family's intense. How do you deal with them?" Claire shrugged, her fingers tracing the rim of her cup. "I don't. Not really. They've always wanted me to be someone I'm not. Perfect daughter, perfect heiress. Straight." Lily's eyes softened, and she reached across the table, her hand covering Claire's. "You don't have to be anything for them. You're enough." The words hit like a punch, stealing Claire's breath. She wanted to believe them, wanted to believe Lily saw her, the real her, not the millionaire, not the patient, just Claire. But doubt crept in, cold and sharp. "You don't get it," Claire said, pulling her hand back. "I'm a mess, Lily. I'm dying. You don't want to get tangled up in this." Lily's jaw tightened, her eyes flashing. "Don't tell me what I want. I'm here, aren't I?" Claire stared, her heart pounding. The cafe buzzed around them. Clinking cups, murmured conversations, the hiss of the espresso machine. But all she could hear was Lily's voice, steady and sure. For the first time, Claire wondered if this could be more than a game. But the fear was still there. A shadow she couldn't shake. They spent the day together, wandering the city, pretending it was just another rehearsal. Lily dragged Claire to a street market, her laughter echoing as she haggled over a scarf. Claire watched her, the way her eyes crinkled, the way she moved like she owned the world. For a moment, Claire forgot her illness, forgot the act. She let herself imagine a life where this was real, where she could love Lily without a ticking clock. But that night, back in her penthouse, reality crashed in. Claire's phone rang, her doctor. A donor heart might be available soon, but the risks were high. Surgery could save her, or it could end her. She hung up, her hands shaking, the room spinning. Lily was still there, curled up on the couch with a book, oblivious to the call. Claire watched her, the weight of her feelings crushing her. "I can't do this," Claire whispered, more to herself than to Lily. Lily looked up, her brow furrowing. "Do what?" "This," Claire said, gesturing between them. "You. Me. It's not fair to you." Lily set the book down, her eyes fierce. "Claire, stop. You don't get to decide what's fair for me. I'm not here because I pity you. I'm here because I care." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Claire's chest ached, not from her heart but from the hope she was too afraid to grasp. She wanted to believe Lily, wanted to let herself fall. But the call from the doctor echoed in her mind, a reminder that love might be the one thing she couldn't afford. The Chicago wind howled outside Claire's penthouse, rattling the windows like it was trying to break in. Inside, the air was still, charged with the weight of Lily's words. "I'm here because I care." Claire stood frozen, her hands gripping the edge of the kitchen counter, the cold granite grounding her as her heart raced. Lily sat on the couch, her green eyes locked on Claire, unwavering, like she could see straight through the walls Claire had spent years building. "You don't mean that," Claire said, her voice low, almost a growl. "You're just caught up in this. It's not real." Lily stood, crossing the room in 3 quick strides, her sneakers silent on the hardwood. She stopped inches from Claire, close enough that Claire could smell the faint lavender of her shampoo, could see the freckles dusting her cheeks. "Don't do that," Lily said, her voice sharp but soft. "Don't push me away because you're scared." Claire's laugh was bitter, cutting through the quiet. "Scared? Lily, I'm dying. I've got a heart that's giving up, a family that's waiting for me to kick it, and a fake relationship that's screwing with my head. Scared doesn't cover it." Lily didn't back down. She reached out, her hand hovering near Claire's arm, then dropping as if she thought better of it. "Then let me in. Let me help. You don't have to do this alone." Claire's throat tightened, her eyes burning. She wanted to let Lily in, wanted to believe this wasn't just pity or obligation. But the doctor's call from earlier that evening gnawed at her. A donor heart, a chance at life, but no guarantees. Surgery could mean a future, or it could mean nothing. And if she let herself love Lily, only to lose her, Claire couldn't bear the thought. "I can't," Claire whispered, turning away, her gaze fixed on the city lights beyond the glass. "You should go." Lily didn't move. The silence stretched, heavy with the hum of the refrigerator, the distant wail of a siren outside. Finally Lily spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm not going anywhere, Claire. Not unless you look me in the eye and tell me you don't feel this too." Claire's breath caught. She turned, meeting Lily's gaze, and the intensity there nearly broke her. Lily's eyes were fierce, vulnerable, pleading. Claire's walls cracked, just a fraction, but enough to terrify her. She opened her mouth to lie, to say she felt nothing, but the words wouldn't come. Instead she stepped forward, closing the gap, and kissed Lily. It was desperate, raw, like she was pouring every fear, every hope, into that single moment. Lily froze for a heartbeat, then kissed her back, her hands finding Claire's waist, pulling her closer. The world fell away, the beeping monitors, the ticking clock, the weight of her illness. There was only Lily, warm and real, her lips soft, her breath a quiet sigh against Claire's skin. When they pulled apart, Claire's chest heaved, her heart pounding in a way that scared her for all the wrong reasons. "This is a bad idea," she said, her voice shaky. Lily smiled, a small sad curve of her lips. Maybe. But I'm not sorry. They stood there, foreheads touching, the city humming beyond the windows. For the first time in months, Claire felt alive. Not just surviving but alive. But the moment was fragile, and the doctor's words echoed in her mind. No guarantees. The next week was a blur of stolen moments and quiet fears. Lily kept up the act for Claire's family, but it wasn't an act anymore. Not for either of them. They'd sit on the penthouse balcony, wrapped in blankets, watching the sunrise over Lake Michigan, the air crisp with the scent of water and early autumn leaves. Lily would talk about her dreams, a bakery, a quiet life, maybe a dog. Claire would listen, memorizing every word, every laugh, storing them like treasures against the darkness. But the darkness was never far. Claire's symptoms worsened. Shortness of breath, dizzy spells, a fatigue that sank into her bones. Lily noticed her nurse's instincts kicking in, but Claire brushed it off, not wanting to taint their time with reality. The surgery loomed, a date set for 2 weeks out. Claire didn't tell Lily, not yet. She couldn't bear to see the hope or the fear in Lily's eyes. One evening they walked through Millennium Park, the bean reflecting the city lights like a warped mirror. Lily's hand was warm in Claire's, her laughter bright as they dodged tourists and street performers. A busker's guitar strummed a slow, aching melody, and Claire pulled Lily into a dance, right there on the sidewalk. Lily laughed, her cheeks flushed, and for a moment, Claire forgot everything. The illness, the family, the lie they'd started with. "Your trouble," Lily said, grinning as they swayed. "You love it," Claire shot back, her voice lighter than it had been in months. Lily's smile softened, her eyes searching Claire's. "Yeah, I do." The words hit Claire like a wave, and she stopped dancing, her breath catching. Lily loved her. Not the millionaire, not the patient, but her. Claire wanted to say it back, wanted to spill everything, the surgery, her fears, her heart. But the words stuck, trapped behind the wall she couldn't fully tear down. That night, back at the penthouse, Claire's phone buzzed with another call from Evelyn. Her mother's voice was cold, cutting through the warmth of the evening. "I hope you're not getting too attached to that nurse, Claire. People like her, they're after something." Claire's grip tightened on the phone, her knuckles white. "You don't know her." "I know enough," Evelyn said. "You're vulnerable. She's convenient. Be careful." The call ended and Claire stood there, shaking, Evelyn's words poisoning the air. She looked at Lily, curled up on the couch with a mug of tea, her auburn hair glowing in the lamplight. Was Evelyn right? Was Lily too good to be true? The doubt crept in, cold and insidious, and Claire hated herself for it. The next morning Claire woke to find Lily gone. A note on the counter. Called in for an emergency shift. Back tonight. The emptiness of the penthouse pressed in, the silence deafening. Claire's chest ached, and she couldn't tell if it was her heart or her fear. She spent the day pacing, replaying every moment with Lily, every touch, every word. Was it real? Could it be? When Lily returned that evening, her scrubs rumpled, her eyes tired but warm, Claire couldn't hold back. "Why are you doing this?" she demanded, her voice breaking. "Why are you here, Lily? Really?" Lily blinked, setting her bag down. "What? Are you here because you feel sorry for me? Because I'm paying you? Or because—" Claire's voice cracked and she looked away, her hands trembling. "I need to know." Lily's face softened, but her eyes were fierce. She crossed the room, cupping Claire's face in her hands, her touch steady. "I'm here because I see you, Claire. Not your money, not your illness, you. I'm here because I'm falling for you. And it scares the hell out of me too." Claire's breath hitched, tears spilling over. She wanted to believe it, wanted to let go of the fear, the doubt, the ticking clock. But the surgery was a week away, and the truth was a weight she couldn't carry alone anymore. "I'm having surgery," Claire blurted, her voice raw. "A heart transplant. Next week. I might not make it." Lily's hands dropped, her face paling. The room was silent, save for the faint hum of the city outside. Claire braced for Lily to run, to pull back, to prove Evelyn right. But Lily stepped closer, her eyes wet, her voice steady. "Then we make every moment count," she said, and pulled Claire into her arms. The penthouse was quiet, save for the soft creak of the floorboards as Lily held Claire, her arms a steady anchor against the storm in Claire's chest. The confession about the surgery hung in the air, heavy as the Chicago fog rolling in from Lake Michigan. Claire's tears soaked into Lily's scrub top, the faint scent of hospital antiseptic mixing with lavender, a strange comfort. Lily's heartbeat thumped against Claire's cheek, strong and steady, everything Claire's wasn't. "You should have told me," Lily whispered, her voice thick but firm. "I deserved to know." Claire pulled back, wiping her eyes, her breath shaky. "I didn't want to scare you off. I'm already a mess. Why would you stick around for this?" Lily's eyes flashed, a mix of hurt and defiance. "Because I'm not here for the easy parts, Claire. I'm here for you. All of you." The words cracked something open in Claire, a raw aching hope she hadn't dared to feel. She wanted to cling to it, to Lily, but the fear was still there, sharp as a scalpel. The surgery was 7 days away. A coin toss between life and nothing. She couldn't ask Lily to wait, to love someone who might not wake up. But Lily wasn't asking for permission. She stayed, filling the penthouse with her warmth, her laughter, her quiet strength. They spent the next few days stealing moments, cooking pasta in Claire's too fancy kitchen, the sizzle of garlic and olive oil mixing with Lily's off-key humming. Watching old movies on the couch, Claire's head on Lily's shoulder, the flicker of the screen casting shadows on their faces. Walking along the lakefront at dawn, the air sharp with salt and promise, their hands clasped tight. Each moment was a thread, weaving something Claire was terrified to name. Love. It was love, and it hurt as much as it healed. Every time Lily smiled, every time she brushed a strand of hair from Claire's face, it was a reminder of what Claire could lose. Or what Lily could lose. The night before the surgery, Claire couldn't sleep. The city hummed beyond the windows, a restless pulse that matched her own. Lily was asleep on the couch, her breathing soft, a blanket slipping off her shoulder. Claire watched her, memorizing every detail, the curve of her lips, the faint scar above her eyebrow, the way her fingers curled into the cushion. Claire's chest ached, not from her failing heart but from the weight of wanting more time. She grabbed her laptop, the screen's glow harsh in the dark. She typed a letter, her fingers trembling, the words spilling out like a confession. It was for Lily, a failsafe in case she didn't make it. "I love you," she wrote, the words stark on the screen. "I'm sorry I didn't say it sooner. You made me feel alive, even when I was falling apart." She saved it, password protected, and sent it to her lawyer with instructions to deliver it if. Morning came too fast. The hospital loomed, its fluorescent lights buzzing like a swarm of wasps. Lily drove Claire, her hands steady on the wheel, but her eyes were red, her jaw tight. They didn't talk much, the silence filled with the hum of the car, the distant honk of Chicago traffic. At the hospital, Lily parked and turned to Claire, her voice low. "You're coming back to me," she said, not a question but a demand. "You hear me?" Claire nodded, her throat too tight to speak. She leaned across the console, kissing Lily softly, tasting salt and fear. "I'll try," she whispered. The pre-op room was cold, the air thick with the tang of antiseptic. Nurses bustled, their voices clipped, their hands efficient. Claire lay on the gurney, her hospital gown thin against her skin, her heart monitor beeping its familiar rhythm. Lily stood beside her, holding her hand, her thumb tracing circles on Claire's knuckles. "Tell me something good," Claire said, her voice shaky, the anesthesia looming. Lily smiled, her eyes wet but fierce. "When you're out of here, we're going to that bakery I told you about. You'll eat my blueberry scones and you'll complain they're too sweet, but you'll love them. Deal?" Claire laughed, a weak, watery sound. "Deal." The anesthesiologist arrived, a syringe in hand. Lily leaned down, kissing Claire's forehead, her lips warm and steady. "I love you," she whispered, so quiet Claire almost missed it. Before Claire could respond, the world blurred. the drugs pulling her under. The last thing she saw was Lily's face, her green eyes bright with tears and hope. Claire dreamed of the lakefront, the water glittering under a summer sun, Lily's laughter echoing like a song. But the dream fractured, replaced by darkness, the beep of monitors, the sterile hum of machines. When she woke, her chest was heavy, her throat raw from the breathing tube. The room was dim, the only light a soft glow from the window. She was alive. Lily was there, curled in a chair, her face pale, her scrubs swapped for a hoodie. She stirred when Claire shifted, her eyes snapping open. "Claire!" she breathed, rushing to the bedside, her hands finding Claire's. "You're okay." Claire tried to speak, but her voice was a rasp. Lily pressed a cup of water to her lips, her touch gentle, her eyes searching. "You scared the hell out of me," Lily said, her voice breaking. "Sorry," Claire croaked, managing a weak smile. "Did I miss the scones?" Lily laughed, a shaky, relieved sound, and leaned her forehead against Claire's. "Not yet. You've got time." The recovery was slow, brutal. Claire's body fought the new heart, her immune system a battlefield of drugs and pain. Lily was there through it all, bringing coffee, sneaking in contraband snacks, reading to Claire when she was too weak to hold a book. But the doubt lingered, a shadow Claire couldn't shake. Was this real? Or was Lily staying out of duty, tethered to a patient she'd grown too close to? One night, Claire woke to find Lily asleep in the chair, her hand still holding Claire's. The sight broke something in her. She couldn't keep doing this, couldn't keep questioning, couldn't keep pretending this was still a game. She had to know. When Lily woke, Claire didn't hesitate. "Why are you still here?" she asked, her voice raw. "I'm not your patient anymore. You don't have to do this." Lily's face crumpled, but she didn't look away. "I'm here because I love you, you idiot. I've loved you since you asked me to fake it, since you laughed at my terrible cooking, since you danced with me in the park. I'm not going anywhere." Claire's breath caught, her new heart pounding. She reached for Lily, pulling her close, their lips meeting in a kiss that felt like a promise. For the first time, Claire believed in them, in a future she could fight for. But the world wasn't done with them. A week later, Claire's phone buzzed with a message from her lawyer. Evelyn was contesting the will, claiming Claire was unstable because of her relationship with Lily. The news hit like a punch, dragging Claire back to the reality she tried to escape. Her family wasn't just greedy, they were vicious. "We'll fight this," Lily said, her voice fierce, her hand tight in Claire's. "Together." Claire nodded, her chest tight but steady. She wasn't alone anymore. For the first time she felt like she could win. Not just against her family, but for the life she wanted with the woman she loved. The hospital room was a cage of beeps and sterile light, but Claire felt freer than she ever had. Her new heart thumped steadily, a stranger in her chest, but it was hers now, bought with pain and a second chance. Lily sat beside her, her fingers laced with Claire's, her thumb tracing lazy patterns that grounded Claire against the chaos of recovery. The air smelled of antiseptic and the faint vanilla of Lily's lip balm, a small rebellion against the hospital's cold efficiency. Outside, Chicago buzzed with life, cars honking, wind whistling through the skyscrapers, but inside it was just them. The world narrowed to the space between their hands. Claire's body ached, her incisions burning under the bandages, but Lily's presence dulled the pain. She was real, not a dream, not a lie. Yet the message from her lawyer gnawed at Claire's mind. Evelyn's legal challenge, a venomous attempt to paint Claire as unfit, to tear apart everything she'd built, including her love for Lily. "They can't do this," Lily said, her voice low but fierce, her green eyes blazing as she read the lawyer's email over Claire's shoulder. "Your mother's out of her mind if she thinks she can take you down." Claire managed a weak laugh, her throat still raw from the breathing tube. "You don't know Evelyn. She's like a shark, smells blood and goes for the kill." Lily squeezed her hand, her grip firm. "Then we fight back. You're not alone anymore, Claire." The words hit harder than Claire expected, stirring a warmth that battled the chill of fear. She wanted to believe they could win, but doubt lingered, sharp and familiar. Her family had always known how to exploit her weaknesses. Her illness, her secrets, her heart. Now they were targeting Lily, and that was a line Claire wouldn't let them cross. Discharge day came with a flurry of paperwork and warnings from doctors. Take your meds, avoid stress, follow up weekly. Claire nodded, her mind elsewhere, already bracing for the war ahead. Lily drove her back to the penthouse, the city blurring past in a haze of autumn gold and gray. The radio played a soft indie tune, the singer's voice raw, echoing Claire's own frayed edges. Lily hummed along, her hand resting on Claire's knee, a quiet promise. The penthouse felt different now. Less like a fortress and more like a home. Lily's presence had changed it, her laughter lingering in the air, her coffee mug on the counter, her scarf draped over a chair. Claire sank onto the couch, exhaustion pulling at her, but her mind raced. Evelyn's lawyer had sent a formal letter, demanding a meeting to discuss Claire's competency. The accusation stung. Unstable, they called her, because she dared to love a woman, because she dared to live. We need a plan, Claire said, her voice steadier than she felt. Evelyn's not just after my money. She wants to control the narrative, make me the broken daughter who needs fixing. Lily sat beside her, her brow furrowed. Then we show them you're not broken. You're stronger than they'll ever be. Claire looked at her, the woman who'd started as a favor, a fake, and become her everything. You don't have to do this, Lily. This fight, it's ugly. It could drag you down with me. Lily's jaw tightened, her eyes fierce. I'm not going anywhere. You think I'm scared of your mom's fancy lawyers? I've dealt with worse in the ER. Claire laughed, a real laugh that shook her sore ribs. You're insane. Probably, Lily said, grinning. But you're insane. They spent the evening strategizing, the city lights glittering beyond the windows like a silent cheer. Claire's lawyer, a sharp woman named Rachel, was already building a case, digging into Evelyn's financial records for leverage. Lily suggested a public approach. Claire could use her platform, her tech empire's reach, to tell her story. Show the world who you are, Lily said, her voice soft but sure. Not their version of you. The idea terrified Claire, but it sparked something too. She'd spent years hiding, building walls to protect herself. Maybe it was time to tear them down. The next morning they met Rachel at a sleek downtown office, the air thick with the scent of coffee and polished wood. Rachel's eyes were sharp, her suit sharper, and she didn't sugarcoat. Your mother's claiming you're mentally unfit because of your lifestyle choices, she said, air quoting the words. She's using your relationship with Lily to paint you as erratic. We need to prove you're in control. Of your mind, your estate, your life. Claire's stomach churned, but Lily's hand found hers under the table, steadying her. What do we do? Claire asked. Rachel leaned forward. We go on the offensive. You're a public figure, Claire. Use that. Tell your story, your illness, your recovery, your love for Lily. Make it human. They can't argue with authenticity. Claire hesitated, her new heart pounding. Going public meant exposing everything. Her illness, her sexuality, her vulnerability. But Lily's hand squeezed hers, and she remembered the lakefront, the dance, the way Lily's laughter had made her feel alive. She nodded. Okay. Let's do it. That night, Claire sat at her desk, the laptop screen glowing, her fingers hovering over the keys. Lily was in the kitchen, the clatter of dishes mingling with her soft humming, a sound that anchored Claire. She started typing, a blog post for her company's site, raw and unfiltered. I'm Claire Hammond and I'm done hiding. I'm a lesbian. I'm a survivor. I'm in love with a woman who saved me, not because of my money, but because of who I am. The words poured out, each one a weight lifted, a truth set free. She hit publish, her heart racing, and turned to find Lily watching her, a proud smile on her face. You're incredible, Lily said, crossing the room to kiss her soft and slow. The post went viral overnight. Claire's phone buzzed with notifications, support from strangers, colleagues, even old friends she'd lost touch with. But there were hate messages too. Venomous comments from trolls and her family's allies. Evelyn called, her voice icy. "You're making a spectacle of yourself, Claire. Stop this nonsense." Claire hung up, her hands shaking but her resolve firm. She wasn't the broken daughter anymore. She was fighting for her life, for her love, for herself. The legal battle escalated. Evelyn's team pushed harder, digging into Claire's medical records, twisting her illness into proof of instability. Rachel countered with affidavits from Claire's doctors, her employees, even Lily, who wrote a statement so raw it brought Claire to tears. "Claire Hammond is the strongest person I know. She's fought for every breath, every moment, and she's done it with courage I can only hope to match." The fight was draining, but Lily was there, her presence a constant. They'd lie in bed at night, the cities hum a soft backdrop, and talk about the future. A bakery for Lily, a quieter life for Claire, maybe a house outside the city with a yard for that dog Lily wanted. The dreams felt fragile, but they were theirs. One evening, as they sat on the balcony, the air cool with the promise of winter, Claire turned to Lily. "If we win this, will you stay? For real?" Lily's eyes softened, her hand finding Claire's. "I'm already staying, Claire. For real." Claire's new heart thudded, steady and strong. For the first time she believed in a future, not just surviving but living. With Lily. With love. The Chicago skyline glittered like a promise, but inside Claire's penthouse, the air was thick with tension. The legal battle with Evelyn had become a war. Each move calculated, each strike personal. Claire sat at her dining table, papers strewn across the polished wood, her new heart pounding as she read the latest court filing. Evelyn's lawyers were relentless, claiming Claire's public post about her sexuality and illness was erratic behavior, a desperate ploy to discredit her. The faint scent of Lily's coffee lingered, grounding Claire as her world tilted. Lily paced the room, her phone pressed to her ear, talking to Rachel. "They're grasping at straws," Lily said, her voice sharp. "Claire's stronger than ever. They can't prove she's unfit." She hung up, her green eyes blazing, and sat beside Claire, her hand finding Claire's knee. "We've got this." Claire nodded, but doubt gnawed at her. Her body was healing, but the fight was draining. Every court date, every deposition a reminder of her family's betrayal. She'd spent years building an empire, a life, only for them to tear it down because she dared to love Lily. The irony was bitter. The heart transplant had saved her, but this battle could break her. "I'm tired, Lily," Claire admitted, her voice low, the words heavy. "What if we lose? What if they take everything?" Lily's jaw tightened, her hand squeezing Claire's. "They can't take us. That's what matters." The words were a lifeline, but Claire's fear ran deep. She'd opened her heart to Lily, to the world, and now it felt like the world was striking back. The hate messages hadn't stopped, trolls calling her names, her family's allies whispering about her shameful lifestyle. But there were supporters too, thousands of them, sharing her post, sending messages of love. It was a strange dichotomy, hate and hope colliding, leaving Claire raw. The first court hearing was a week later, in a sterile downtown courtroom that smelled of old wood and tension. Claire sat beside Rachel, her suit crisp but her hands trembling. Lily was in the gallery, her presence a quiet strength, her eyes locked on Claire's. Evelyn sat across the aisle, her face a mask of icy composure, her designer dress screaming wealth she hadn't earned. Mark and Susan flanked her, their expressions smug like they'd already won. The judge, a stern woman with gray hair, listened as Evelyn's lawyer spun a tale of Claire's instability, her illness, her sudden relationship with Lily, her public post. "Miss Hammond's actions show a lack of judgment," the lawyer said, his voice smooth. "She's unfit to manage her estate." Rachel countered, her voice sharp and steady. "Claire Hammond is a survivor. She's built a tech empire, survived a heart transplant, and made a conscious choice to live authentically. Her relationship with Miss Carter is irrelevant to her competency." Claire's chest tightened, her new heart thudding. She glanced at Lily, who gave her a small, fierce nod, and something in Claire steadied. She wasn't the broken daughter anymore. She was a fighter. The hearing dragged on, a blur of legal jargon and pointed questions. Claire testified, her voice steady despite the weight of Evelyn's stare. "I've never been clearer about who I am," she said, her eyes flicking to Lily. "My illness doesn't define me. My love does." The words hung in the courtroom raw and true. Lily's eyes glistened, and Claire felt a surge of strength. This wasn't just about her money, it was about her life, her truth, her right to love. Back at the penthouse, Claire collapsed onto the couch, exhaustion sinking into her bones. Lily sat beside her, her head resting on Claire's shoulder, the faint hum of the city filling the silence. "You were incredible today," Lily said, her voice soft. "I'm so proud of you." Claire turned, meeting Lily's gaze, the warmth there chasing away the chill of the courtroom. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said, her voice breaking. "I'm still scared, Lily. What if we lose?" Lily cupped Claire's face, her touch gentle but firm. "Then we start over. Together. They can't take that from us." Claire kissed her slow and deep, pouring every fear, every hope into it. The kiss tasted of coffee and salt, of love and fight. For the first time, Claire believed they could win, not just the case but a life together. The next few weeks were a grind. Rachel dug deeper, uncovering Evelyn's shady financial moves. Offshore accounts, questionable loans. It was leverage, but it came at a cost. Evelyn's team hit back, leaking stories to the press, painting Claire as a reckless heiress, Lily as a gold digger. The headlines stung, but Lily shrugged them off, her humor a shield. "Gold digger, huh? I should have asked for a yacht," she teased, making Claire laugh despite the pain. They fought back with truth. Claire gave an interview to a major outlet, her voice steady as she told her story. Her illness, her love, her fight. Lily sat beside her, her hand in Claire's, a quiet defiance. The response was overwhelming. Support poured in from LGBTQ+ groups, from fans of Claire's tech work, from strangers who saw themselves in her struggle. The tide was turning, but Evelyn wasn't done. One night, a letter arrived, hand-delivered to the penthouse. It was from Evelyn, her elegant script a contrast to the venom inside. "End this charade, Claire. You're embarrassing yourself. Leave that woman, and we'll settle this quietly." Claire's hand shook as she read it, rage and hurt colliding. She crumpled the letter, tossing it into the trash. Lily found her on the balcony, the city lights blurring through Claire's tears. "She doesn't get to win," Lily said, pulling Claire into her arms. "Not this time." Claire clung to her, the wind cold against her skin, Lily's warmth a shield. "I love you," Claire whispered, the words slipping out raw and true. Lily's smile was soft, her eyes bright. "I love you too. Always." The next morning, Rachel called with news. Evelyn's team had slipped up. A forged document exposed in discovery. It was a crack in their case, a chance to push back. Claire felt a spark of hope, but it was tempered by reality. The fight wasn't over and the cost was mounting. Legal fees, public scrutiny, the strain on her still healing body. Lily noticed, her nurse's instincts sharp. "You need to rest," she said, her voice firm as she tucked a blanket around Claire on the couch. "You're pushing too hard." "I can't stop," Claire said, her voice hoarse. "If I lose, they'll take everything, my company, my legacy, you." Lily knelt in front of her, her hands on Claire's knees. "They can't take me. I'm not going anywhere." Claire's throat tightened, tears spilling over. She pulled Lily close, their foreheads touching, the world narrowing to the space between them. The fight was far from over, but with Lily by her side, Claire felt something she hadn't in years. Unbreakable. The penthouse was a fortress of light against the Chicago night. But inside, Claire felt the walls closing in. The legal battle with Evelyn had reached a fever pitch. Each day a barrage of motions, depositions, and media storms. The air smelled of coffee and stress, the faint hum of the city a constant reminder of the world watching. Claire sat at her desk, her laptop screen glowing with Rachel's latest email. Evelyn's forged document had weakened her case, but she was doubling down, accusing Claire of manipulating her public image for sympathy. The audacity burned, but Claire was too tired to rage. Lily was in the kitchen, the clatter of dishes a soft counterpoint to Claire's racing thoughts. She emerged with 2 mugs of tea, her auburn hair loose, her eyes tired but warm. "You need a break," she said, setting a mug in front of Claire. "You're running on fumes." Claire managed a weak smile, her fingers wrapping around the warm ceramic. The chamomile sent a fleeting comfort. "I can't stop now. We're so close." Lily sat across from her, her gaze steady. "You don't have to do it all tonight. Let me take care of you for once." The words hit Claire like a wave, gentle but overwhelming. She'd spent so long fighting. Her illness, her family, herself, that letting go felt impossible. But Lily's presence, her quiet strength, made it seem possible, even if just for a moment. Claire nodded, her throat tight, and let Lily pull her to the couch, where they curled up under a blanket, the city's hum fading into the background. The next court date was brutal. The courtroom smelled of polish and old paper, the air thick with anticipation. Evelyn sat ramrod straight, her eyes cold, her lips a thin line. Claire felt her stare like a blade. But she held her head high, Lily's hand in hers under the table. Rachel presented their evidence, the forged document, Evelyn's financial discrepancies, affidavits from Claire's team proving her competence. The judge's face was unreadable, her pen scratching notes that could make or break Claire's future. Evelyn's lawyer countered, his voice slick as he painted Claire as a reckless heiress, her relationship with Lily a stunt to dodge responsibility. Ms. Hammond's recent behavior, her public confessions, her so-called relationship, shows a woman in crisis, unfit to manage her empire, he said. Claire's heart thudded, her new organ strong but her resolve tested. She glanced at Lily, whose jaw was tight, her eyes fierce. Lily leaned close, her whisper barely audible. "You're not in crisis. You're in love. That's not weakness." The words steadied Claire, grounding her. When it was her turn to speak, she stood, her voice clear despite the tremor in her hands. "My family wants you to believe I'm broken because I love a woman, because I've fought to live on my terms. But I've never been more in control. My illness didn't break me. It showed me what matters. Lily matters. My life matters." The courtroom was silent, the weight of her words settling over the room. Lily's eyes glistened, her hand squeezing Claire's when she sat down. Evelyn's composure cracked just for a moment, her eyes narrowing. Claire felt a spark of triumph. She wasn't the scared girl hiding in the closet anymore. The hearing ended without a ruling, the judge promising a decision within weeks. Claire and Lily left the courthouse, the autumn air sharp, the city alive with honking cabs and rustling leaves. They walked in silence, their hands clasped, the weight of the day heavy but shared. At a small park, they sat on a bench, the same one where they'd rehearsed their relationship weeks ago. The memory felt like a lifetime ago. "You were incredible," Lily said, her voice soft, her thumb brushing Claire's knuckles. "I'm so proud of you." Claire's chest ached, not from her heart but from the swell of emotion. "I'm scared, Lily. What if we lose everything?" Lily turned, her eyes fierce and tender. "Then we built something new. Together. They can't take that from us." Claire kissed her, the world fading, the park, the city, the fight. There was only Lily, her lips warm, her breath a quiet sigh. It was a promise, a future Claire could almost touch. But the fight wasn't over. The media frenzy grew, headlines swinging between support and slander. Claire's post had sparked a movement, with LGBTQ+ advocates rallying behind her. But Evelyn's allies pushed back, their leaks vicious. One article called Lily a predatory nurse, and Claire saw red, her hands shaking as she threw the tablet across the room. Lily caught her, pulling her close. "They're scared," she said, her voice steady. "They're losing, and they know it." Claire clung to her, the anger giving way to exhaustion. "I don't deserve you," she whispered. Lily laughed, soft and bright. "You deserve everything, Claire. And I'm gonna make sure you get it." The weeks dragged on, each day a test of Claire's strength. Her body was healing, but the stress was a shadow, creeping into her sleep, her dreams. Lily was her anchor, her laughter a light in the dark. They'd cook together, the kitchen filled with the sizzle of onions, the clink of wine glasses. They'd dance in the living room, Lily's terrible pop playlist blaring, Claire's laughter echoing. They'd talk about the future. A bakery for Lily, a tech nonprofit for Claire, a life beyond the city's chaos. One night, Claire woke gasping, a nightmare of the surgery lingering. Lily was there, her arms around Claire, her voice a soft hum. "You're okay," she whispered, her hand stroking Claire's hair. "I've got you." Claire's new heart steadied, her breathing slowing. "I love you," she said, the words easier now, a truth she no longer questioned. "I love you too," Lily said, her smile soft in the moonlight. "Always." The next morning Rachel called with news. The judge had scheduled a final hearing. "We've got a strong case," she said. "Your story's resonating, Claire. The public's on your side." Claire hung up, her hands trembling but her resolve firm. She looked at Lily, who was flipping pancakes in the kitchen, her apron dusted with flour, her laughter bright. This was what she was fighting for, not just her money, her legacy, but this. A life with Lily. The final hearing loomed, a storm on the horizon. Claire felt the weight of it, the fear of losing everything. But with Lily by her side, she felt something new. Hope. Not just for the case, but for a future she'd never dared to dream of. A future where love wasn't a lie but a promise. The courtroom was a pressure cooker, the air thick with the scent of polished wood and nervous sweat. Claire sat beside Rachel, her suit crisp, her new heart thudding a steady rhythm that felt like defiance. Lily was in the gallery, her green eyes locked on Claire, a beacon in the storm. Evelyn sat across the aisle, her face a mask of cold control, but Claire saw the cracks, the twitch of her jaw, the restless tap of her manicured nails. The final hearing had arrived, and the weight of it pressed against Claire's chest, not from her illness but from the stakes. Her empire, her truth, her life with Lily. The judge, stern and unreadable, called the session to order, her gavel a sharp crack that echoed like a gunshot. Rachel presented their final arguments, her voice a blade cutting through Evelyn's lies. "Claire Hammond is not only competent but extraordinary," she said, gesturing to the stack of affidavits, the public support, the evidence of Evelyn's fraud. "She's built a legacy, survived a heart transplant, and chosen to live authentically. Her family's claims are baseless, driven by greed, not concern." Evelyn's lawyer countered, his tone slick but strained, accusing Claire of manipulating public sentiment with her story. "Her relationship with Miss Carter is a convenient distraction," he said, his eyes flicking to Lily with disdain. "A ploy to avoid accountability." Claire's hands clenched, her nails digging into her palms. She wanted to scream, to tell the world that Lily wasn't a ploy but her everything. Lily's gaze met hers, fierce and steady, and Claire drew strength from it, her resolve hardening. When it was her turn to speak, she stood, her voice clear despite the tremor in her chest. "My family wants you to believe I'm weak because I love a woman," she said, her eyes sweeping the courtroom, lingering on Evelyn. "But loving Lily is the strongest thing I've ever done. I've fought for my life, my company, my truth. I'm not hiding anymore, and I'm not letting them take that from me." The room was silent, the weight of her words settling like dust. Lily's eyes glistened, her lips curving into a proud smile. Evelyn's composure cracked further, her gaze dropping to her hands. The judge's pen scratched, her face still unreadable, and Claire sat, her heart pounding but her soul lighter. She'd said her truth, and it was enough. The ruling came 2 days later, delivered in a crisp email from Rachel. Victory. The judge had dismissed Evelyn's claims, upholding Claire's competency and control of her estate. The forged document had been Evelyn's undoing, her greed exposed. Claire read the email on her penthouse balcony, the city glittering below, the air sharp with winter's promise. Lily stood beside her, her hand warm in Claire's, her laughter bright as she read over Claire's shoulder. "We did it," Lily said, pulling Claire into a hug, her breath warm against Claire's neck. "You did it." Claire clung to her, tears spilling over. Not from fear but from relief, from joy. "We," she corrected, her voice thick. "I couldn't have done this without you." They celebrated that night, just the two of them, with takeout pizza and cheap wine. The penthouse filled with laughter and music. The city hummed beyond the windows, but it felt distant, unimportant. There was only Lily, her smile, her touch, the way she made Claire feel alive in ways her new heart never could. Months later, spring painted Chicago in soft greens and pinks, the lakefront alive with joggers and blooming trees. Claire's recovery was steady, her body stronger, her spirit stronger still. The media frenzy had faded, replaced by stories of her nonprofit work, her tech empire pivoting to fund healthcare access for the underserved. Evelyn had retreated, her influence shattered, her calls unanswered. Claire's brother, Mark, sent a hesitant email. An olive branch Claire wasn't ready to accept. Not yet. Lily had quit her hospital job, her dream taking shape in a small bakery downtown. The air there was thick with the scent of blueberry scones and fresh bread. And Claire was her first customer, her loudest cheerleader. They'd moved into a house just outside the city, a quiet place with a yard for the dog Lily had always wanted. A scruffy mutt named Max who chewed Claire's shoes and slept at their feet. One evening they sat on their porch, the sunset painting the sky in fiery hues, the air sweet with honeysuckle. Lily's head rested on Claire's shoulder, her fingers tracing patterns on Claire's palm. The silence was comfortable, filled with the chirp of crickets and Max's soft snores. "Do you ever think about how we got here?" Claire asked, her voice soft, her new heart steady. Lily smiled, her eyes catching the last light of the day. "All the time. You asked me to pretend, and I ended up with the realest thing I've ever known." Claire's throat tightened, her hand squeezing Lily's. "I was so scared I'd lose you, that this was too good to be true." Lily turned, her gaze fierce and tender. "You're stuck with me, Hammond. For real." Claire laughed, the sound bright, free. She kissed Lily slow and deep, the world fading to the warmth of her lips, the steady beat of their shared life. The lie that had started it all, the fake girlfriend, the act for her family, had led to this. A love that was real, a life worth fighting for. As the stars emerged, Claire felt a peace she'd never known. The heart in her chest was new, but the love in it was hers, forged through pain and courage, through Lily's laughter and her own stubborn will. They'd faced the worst, illness, betrayal, fear, and come out stronger together. "I love you," Claire whispered, the words a vow. "I love you too," Lily said, her smile a promise. "Always." The night stretched on, the future wide open, and Claire knew for the first time that she wasn't just surviving. She was living, fully, fiercely, with